Rats eat eggs. Hey everybody, welcome back to This Podcast is Lava. James forgot the intro, and I'm pretty sure that was it that I just nailed.
It's actually slightly wrong, but that's okay. So my name is James Font. With me, I have Sam Shoemaker and our very special guest, Aaron Ayers.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
It's going.
So Aaron has known my family and your family for years and years and years and years and years. And one of the reasons we want to have him on the podcast is he actually has another podcast, which is far more successful than ours, and he started like a couple weeks before ours.
So I'm going to start with correcting you. I know that's
okay.
terribly rude, but I'm no longer on that podcast. I'm no longer a part of that podcast. I mean,
By choice? Or
they told me
they just railroaded you out.
No, I quit. I quit on purpose and of my own free will. They told me I was free to talk about whatever I wanted to.
Okay.
They said just be honest, and honesty is the most important thing.
Were you being the Sam of the group?
No,
I would highly doubt that.
I've got a baby, and I was like, this podcast I was recording once a week for hours and hours and hours at a time. I was scheduling guests. I was doing research. I was doing all the post editing, production.
You're spending
doing all of the social media interactions on like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any kind of social media platform that's out there. We were on it, and I was pushing it all, and I was doing it all, and the other guy was basically just showing up. And so I quit, and I mean, it was.
I was touching my mic stand. I fidget, and I shouldn't.
No. That's what I was looking at. Never mind. Anyways.
Okay, you're good.
Were you thinking that this is a familiar story?
I was being a jerk.
I'm the one that shows up.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, when we were doing research, I was the research guy, but I wasn't a good research guy.
It's not that you weren't a good research. When you did research, it was very good research, and he would come back when he would actually do it.
Right. And I can relate to on that level, though, of like part of it, I procrastinated, but there was definitely the element of like trying to fit that into life is difficult.
Yeah. And so I decided it wasn't worth as much to me as I thought it was in the beginning. And
especially with a baby.
Yeah. And so I gracefully backed out of it. There was a period of time where my co-host Andrew had some depression crap that happened, and he was
awesome.
He was out of
depression is great, right, Sam?
Oh yeah.
He the term we use is out of pocket. He was out of pocket for like, I don't know, 2 months. So I had to scare up 2 more people from our community, from our
real quick, what is the podcast?
Okay, so the podcast, to go back to the beginning, is called the Black Tower Podcast. If you want to check out the book series, The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, they're making a TV show out of it, which is why a lot of people are checking it out now. They want to like
brush up on the lore.
I knew about it before it was a TV show, right?
Yeah.
So it's a podcast about this book series. It's like 15 books. It's sold as many copies as A Song of Ice and Fire, the Game of Thrones series, just to kind of put it in reference. About half as many copies as The Lord of the Rings.
I forget that The Lord of the Rings is super duper ridiculously popular.
Well, and it's been around for way more years.
Oh, yeah.
So this series, he wrote the first book and published it in 1990, and the last one came out 2013.
Oh, wow. So relatively recent.
They're relatively recent,
years.
and they've sold, I think, 90 million copies.
Oh, wow.
So matching Lord of the Rings, comparatively, Lord of the Rings has been out for, 100 years?
Right, and they're halfway. I think Lord of the Rings is like 130 million copies, and they're at like 90 million.
That's insane.
And Lord of the Rings only had like 3 books, and this has, 15?
Right.
So there's that to like skew the statistics. It's not actually apples to apples. But it's an immensely popular book series within the fantasy genre. So we kind of came out with this podcast. Nobody else was doing it.
Didn't you have an inspiration for it, or did they get inspired from you?
They took it from me.
Okay,
we were listening to some friends of ours started another podcast called the White Tower Podcast, and they're great ladies. They're super liberal, kind of feminist, whatever. I love them. They love me. We talk all the time.
I think I've said I've commented on them on their material.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
They're fun. They're
They're
nice
You've
people.
interacted with them like
hilarious.
online,
I
you mean?
think maybe.
Okay.
And that's
I'm
what I
probably
was doing.
wrong.
I was interacting with them online because nobody that I knew was reading this book series. And I was listening to them and they were going through it one chapter at a time. They would do
Really?
one
That's
episode
intense.
equals one chapter, and it's 15 books. Like it takes
How many chapters per book?
50 something.
Oh, jeez.
They
So a
did.
book a year,
So
basically.
you
Yeah,
have
basically.
content for like the rest of your life.
Some of the books are
15 years.
less long. Some of them are 1,000 pages. Some of them are 600 plus in between. So they have content for 7 or 8 years at least.
Yeah. And then when the TV series comes out, they'll
Right.
they'll rehash it from the beginning because it's going to
Compare
be
and
completely
contrast.
different.
Because you have to compare and contrast like
Right.
the TV show to what the books and
The
yeah.
book is better, but
Right. But they're in the 3rd chapter of the whatever. No.
Did you notice that they cut out what the
when
guy,
when
the one
Paramedic
guy-
died, he totally didn't say.
I was going to reference
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, Tom
Bombadil?
Bombadil.
Yeah.
Because that's a controversial character that was
Seriously,
cut out.
I can't believe they cut him out.
I know. After I read the books, I understood what everyone was raving about.
Yeah. So we in the books there's an organization called the White Tower that's all female and an organization called the Black Tower that's all male. So we named our podcast kind of after theirs
Right.
in the style of the books. And we decided instead of doing one chapter at a time, we would focus on a character, one person and
Yeah.
their arc over the entire books.
I
Or
tried to listen and I went, "Oh, I don't read the books. I
Right.
don't care anything about this."
for anybody that doesn't read the books, it's like pointless.
Yeah.
What's the point
Like our
of listening
podcast
to
period.
this? No, you guys are different. It's like the Seinfeld show of podcasts.
I guess.
Nice.
The show about nothing.
Let me self-deprecate.
No.
Okay. Anyways,
Let's try and work our way to the office of podcasts, and then we'll be golden.
where
Yeah,
we're just
seriously.
we're okay when we're on TV. Everybody kind of likes us, and then Netflix gets us, and everybody continues to watch us
I'm doing a Jim impression.
multiple
hopefully.
times.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Ideally. We get
But-
millions of dollars in
No, but it-
sponsorships, products,
But it was ridiculous because you started yours in October 2018.
Yeah, it was
didn't you?
slightly before you did.
Yeah, because
Because we kind of put our heads together for a little bit and was like, how do we do this?
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do it.
and you inspired me and helped me with PodBean. That's our hosting website.
yeah.
And
Sponsor us, Podbean.
yes,
Yeah, please, please.
sponsor the smallest podcast.
Or maybe just, waive the hosting fees.
There we go.
Sure,
That'd be
sure.
great.
Yeah,
$100 a year. That'd be great.
that helped
Um,
James out a ton.
It would. Oh no, I'm just looking at you. But it was interesting because you actually have a theme, and people want to listen to you, and people want to know more about that,
Right.
and so you're getting your views are skyrocketing exponentially comparatively to ours, which I was surprised.
Well, yeah,
But
because
not really.
you would think
But there's a
it's such
TV show. There's a TV show coming out. But you said that.
2020. There's a TV show coming out a couple years from now.
And there's been 90 million copies sold. Nobody knows Sam or James or Silas.
Right.
So you're almost getting like
Well, not nobody.
popularity, or like you personally
Pre-popularity.
aren't personally getting advertisement, but because there's a pop culture phenomenon occurring, it's more likely that people will be looking for your content
Right.
versus us who are just looking like kind of generic everyday like conversations and stuff.
I told somebody, I said, yeah, it's called This Podcast is Lava. They just went, lava?
What?
I was like, no, this podcast is lava. And they went, oh. I normally, so one of my ways of getting subscribers on YouTube or people to listen to our podcast is I'll play Rainbow Six Siege. I've explained this before. I'm sorry.
Do you do it live so people can watch live, or?
I should do that more, but I don't. But normally it's just like I'll be talking to my teammates and be like, yeah. I, for some reason, get a lot of compliments on my voice,
You have a very radio voice.
I guess.
Which
But
is a backhanded way of saying we don't like your face.
pretty much. So I get a lot of compliments on my voice on video games online. And so I'll be like, oh, well, if you want to hear more of this, you can find me on YouTube, Spotify,
Right.
Spotify, iTunes, Google Play.
And I got one listener from my secondary Instagram account because I shared our story. It was the one. It was the one where Kenny Williams. It was the video of Kenny Williams
Yeah.
ripping the pop can.
Yeah.
Nice.
I got one listener. Hey, Jonathan. And he's going to be on the podcast.
Yep, he's going to be on the podcast.
So,
And
eventually.
that'll be interesting. He's a toy photographer, and they're pretty epic shots because they don't look like toys. Another reason I want to have you on the podcast was you were in the Army. Do you want to go? You
Here's another correction for you.
He's
not the Army. You were in
Marine
sorry.
Corps.
You were in the military is what I meant to say, and
Marine
I said
Corps.
the wrong
Yeah.
thing. You're in the Marines.
So 10 years ago, I probably would have beat you up for making that mistake.
Well, that's okay. I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
No. So yeah, I was in the military.
The military.
I
That's
don't
the
know
word I was.
What you want to know about that?
So
I mean, ask your questions.
Can we do the story, because we were hanging out at your brother's house one time. We were comparing how late we had stayed up. And you told a story about a downed chopper.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
So real quick, let's just for grins and giggles. Sam, what's the latest you've ever stayed up?
I stayed up for 36 hours once.
Not the latest, I meant the longest. But anyways,
I stayed up for 36 hours.
And I believe mine was 53 hours because I was retarded and decided to stay up really long.
That's
So
insane.
mine's about there. I think it might be a little less.
Mine was I was dumb and wanted to stay up and see how long I could stay up. His is way more interesting.
So we were, I was stationed in Yuma, Arizona at the Marine Corps Air Station, and they do all kinds of aircraft training there because the weather is perfect, like 357 days a year.
Yeah, and I have a friend who lives in Sonora,
Probably.
I don't know. He lives in Arizona, and he's always sending me pictures in the winter of how nice it is over there.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. And you get like one rainstorm a year, and that's it. Like a massive rainstorm shuts everything down, but otherwise, every other day of the year is amazing for flight conditions, anyways. So they have all this training that goes on there all time year round, and there was a search and rescue helicopter that was training out in the mountains, and they lost contact with it. It went down out in the mountains. It crashed, and we were coming off of a 12-hour shift, which means 12 hours standing at your post, right?
Plus whatever time you took to get up and get dressed for that 12-hour
Yeah.
shift.
So plus an hour on either end for like briefing beforehand, briefing afterwards, gear up, gear down. You have to like go through this whole thing where you get your weapon from the armory, pull your ammo, put it in your gun. It's just a whole rigmarole. And it's all closely monitored so that nobody takes a gun home and shoots themselves in the barracks in the middle of the night because they're depressed. So, and then there's usually some sort of group PT activity before shift. So it's
like an icebreaker.
A 12-hour shift is 14 hours plus PT, so it's more like 15 or 16 hours plus whatever time you were up before then.
Sometimes I'm not even awake that long.
Yeah. Nowadays, I'm like, good if I get 6 hours straight.
6
staying
hours.
awake.
6 hours screen time being alive.
Yeah, so, they told us, wait around after your shift because you're probably going to go. If they find this thing, we're going to send you out to secure the area. So they pulled all of us aside and they said, so we waited another hour, maybe 2 hours, and they found the chopper out in the middle of the desert, like in the mountains. I guess like they had been so close to the mountains that they clipped the actual mountain with the rotors.
That's not good.
And it crashed them.
Oof.
And they were so far back in the mountains that they couldn't get vehicles back there in the middle of the night. So they put us on a helicopter. It was the exact same helicopter as the one that just crashed, right? It was the backup search and rescue helicopter.
You're thinking, hope we don't go to
Yeah.
Who rescues us?
This seems fortuitous. So they sent us, we flew out there and we couldn't land.
Because
it's,
it's that far back in the mountains.
It's in the mountains. It's night. They couldn't land us anywhere. Ooh.
Nice.
Cracking open a cold one
Sponsor
with
us,
the boys.
Pepsi.
Hey, Pepsi what? They can't see it. I turned all of the cans so they can't see Pepsi. Anyways.
We don't say names of corporations that don't sponsor us.
Fair
That's
enough.
how you do it.
But go buy your Plum God apparel at plumgod.com.
So
plumgodapparel.com.
Sponsor us, Plum God Apparel.
So they got about 10 feet off the ground and we had to like rope down. And then we had to like help get the one guy who was still alive hooked up to a flatboard, and
my
they
gosh.
pulled him up into the other helicopter, and then they took off and they left like the 4 of us there in the middle of the desert.
And see, I asked the question, well, why didn't they take you with you? What? Why didn't they take you with them?
Right. Well, there's all these like top secret gauges and communication devices and whatever inside of these helicopters, even though they're from Vietnam, right?
Yeah.
It's a Huey. It's older than dirt, but it's still got top secret stuff in it. They don't want it to fall into anybody's hands. So it had to be guarded out in the middle of the desert until they could remove all of the top secret stuff and then blow up what was left.
So kind of like when was it Bin Laden, when there was a chopper that went down in the Bin Laden raid, they blew that one up when the Navy SEALs crashed into the compound.
Yeah, and if you watch the movie, they're like in there yanking out radios and pulling stuff out of it, and then they plant C4 and blow it up.
Yeah.
What I'm sure is more dramatic on TV than it was in real life.
Michael Bay-esque.
And that was definitely more high tech.
The explosion like 4 times from different angles.
Whoa, wait a second.
Have you ever seen the Family Guy episode where they blow up a house and they over exaggerate that?
No.
They show 15 or 16 cuts. It's like boom, and then they go to side, boom, and then it's 15 or 16 cuts.
They parody
they blow the house up 15 or 16 times.
Yeah.
In this stupid thing, and I was just like, I like this.
That's awesome.
This is hilarious.
So then eventually during the day they got like a Ford Explorer out to us that had air conditioning and MREs and stuff in it for us to have, and water.
When was the last time you ate?
It was like in the middle of my shift the day before. So I worked like the day shift all day, and I ate lunch, and then I was supposed to eat dinner afterwards and didn't eat dinner. And then we were out in the desert all night until the next morning.
And you didn't bring water with you probably? Or
we
just
had
maybe a little?
We had our canteens.
So, warm water.
Yeah.
Yummy.
Warm plasticky water. That's so good.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
And then we were out there for 24 hours. So
Now,
I started my shift 6 a.m, got off 6.
On a Monday, let's just make it.
Yeah. So then I went out there in the middle of the night on Monday night. Then Tuesday morning, they came out with an SUV and some other people, and they kind of set up some stuff, and then they left us, and they were like, we'll be back at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
They left you again? I didn't hear that part. They left you again?
So it was 24 hours that we were out there after. So it was
24 hours after you left the base.
Oh, yes. Seriously.
Is when you got back.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Because they're like, you're the guys who are out here right now, so it's your shift for 24 hours. There's 2 of you, so you can take turns sleeping, whatever.
Okay.
But we were like, we're in the desert. We're like, who knows what kind of animals are out here? And there's only 2 of us, so we both stayed awake.
This was during the day then, at this point.
And the thing is,
but then we were overnight too.
The thing is, you're just relying on adrenaline to keep you awake.
Hoping that rattlesnakes don't bite you in the night.
Seriously.
Or coyotes or whatever kind of nightmare creatures live in there. Wendigos and Bigfoot. I don't know.
I saw a dude, and those giant worms, they can get you. Did you guys not see Dune?
I have not seen.
Dune.
Oh, Dune. I thought you said I've seen a dude. And then you said these giant worms, and I'm like, wait, what giant worms?
Giant worms.
So like Tremors, bro?
It's like Tremors. Tremors stole the idea from Dune.
Okay.
Have you seen The Hobbit?
I've not seen Dune, though.
Earthworm things?
Have you seen The Hobbit? Whichever part with the spiders?
Yeah.
I didn't like that part.
I didn't like that part either.
No.
I went, this is only making my arachnophobia worse.
Now I kill every single spider I see, except for the little fuzzy ones.
Well, when you go into the worst crawl space, I'm a plumber. The worst crawl space I've ever been in was one I went in. It was a very nice, dry, cement floor crawl space. But in every single corner of the entire crawl space were spider webs and spiders. And then I had to climb in there, climb through a 2-foot place to get to the other side of the kitchen. And I was there to replace a kitchen pipe, which was up in a bunch of spiders.
As long as they're not black widows, I guess you're fine.
I had to, I think I added
brown recluse.
I think I added. Oh, I thought through all this.
If I die down here, did they find my body now?
I think I sat there for probably 15 minutes, like reaching up and getting spider webs knocked down, and then like I had to sawzall the pipe out. Anyways, enough of my boring life.
What you need is like a flamethrower.
I have one. I should have brought it with me.
Yeah, blowtorch would do that.
Oh,
Would do the trick.
Set the house on fire.
Yeah,
that's a whole thing.
I was just getting the spiders out. You're like running out of the house. The house
It's
goes
like
up
the
in
meme
flames.
whenever it's like a spider, and then it shows a picture of the house burning.
Yeah,
It's like burn it down.
or like the guy
I'm totally
leaving on a
it.
spaceship, and
This
then
is
the
how
Earth
easy
gets
we can-
destroyed by the Death Star.
because there was a spider.
This is how easy we can get off topic.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you were there for 24 hours. What did you? Do you remember anything you did? How many years ago was this?
It was a long time ago. So I was in the military from 2006 to 2009.
Did you go in when you were 18?
No. Crap. So it was 2006.
Let's go back a little bit further. Why did you want to be in the military, and then why did you want to be in the Marines? Or do we want to even do that?
I mean, I was in the Marines honestly because I wanted to be the best, whatever. And they were I was fat like I am now.
Yeah.
And they were the service with the lowest weight standards.
Okay.
Meaning they would take people who weighed more than, like, if you wanted to be in the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, you had to be in shape already. You had to be skinny.
The Marines
And-
are like, we'll just beat it into you. It's fine.
The Marines were like, we know our boot camp is so physically intense and our training is so demanding that it doesn't matter what weight you are when you go into training. When you get out, you'll be within our weight standard. As long as you are.
Again, we'll beat the fat off you.
Yeah. So they had a standard for if you're below a certain weight, then it's physically safe for you to do this training.
Okay.
Right? If you were so big, they were like, there's no way you could actually physically do it.
Yeah.
And then there's no point. So I had to get down to a certain point before I could go. But honestly, they were the branch that would let me in the fastest. And I was like,
Okay.
I'm just done. I'd quit college. I didn't finish college.
What were you in college for?
Criminal justice.
Ooh. So it's kind of the same field, but on a more global.
So I went into the military to be in military police.
Mm-hmm.
So it was similar.
Did you listen to the podcast we did with Richard Alba?
No.
Okay, we did it with my next door neighbor. He's turning 73 September 28th.
Nice.
He was an MP.
Okay.
Back in Vietnam.
Back in
Ooh.
Nam.
They didn't like MPs back then.
Probably not. They don't like them now, really.
Yeah, no. They're like, there's this like prejudice against people who are MPs because they're like, oh, they're gonna break up your fun. They're
They're
gonna
snitches.
bust you for drinking. And a lot of people drink under the age of 21 in the military because they feel like they deserve it, or they feel like they're owed
Yeah.
the ability to drink. Whatever. That's a whole
thing.
That's
That's
a
a can
whole
of
box of worms.
Yeah.
A box of cans of worms.
Anyways, so you wanted to be a military. You wanted to be a military police.
I want to be and I wanted to be a policeman when I got out of the military.
Yep.
And a funny way that it works is seeing behind the curtain of like the police world, even though it's not exactly the same. I kind of saw what it was like, and I was like, I don't think I want to do this. And I think I want to just be a normal person and not a cop. So when I got out, I had an opportunity. I had a job offer from a sheriff's department in Texas that was like, we'll hire you. It was like I knew a guy who knew a guy,
Yep. So
They're
they
like,
knew.
we'll hire you, whatever.
Yep.
Don't even interview, just show up for work.
Cool.
And it was like, I don't think so.
Anyway, so you dropped out of college. You went in the military.
Yeah, I worked in a factory for a year or two,
Fun.
and I was like, I need to do something.
You don't want to be a lifer at a factory?
Oh no! I
What?
mean, some people do it, and
hurt
whatever. It's
Whatever
great for
joint you
them.
use the most?
Yeah. Just get all my joints replaced: elbows, knees,
Get it replaced
hips,
now and then go and work.
Yeah, there we go.
Preemptive.
laser eyes.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't do this. I need something. If I don't have college, because that was the mindset back then.
You got to go.
And
You
it's-
get out of high school, you go to college, and then you go from college, and you have to know exactly what you're doing
Right.
from like age 7. And then after that, you
You get a job in your field because there's plenty there.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
college is what qualifies you
Yeah, but
to
you
do the
need
thing you want
college.
to do. You have to. If you
It
don't
sounds
want
like
to
I'm
be
dumping on
poor,
college.
if you don't want to be poor your whole life, you have to go to college.
Yeah.
That was the mindset back then.
Yep.
And people still
It's still there.
a little bit
Yeah.
say that, but a lot of people nowadays are saying, you know what, go to trade school
Yeah.
or get a good job and don't go to college. Whatever. You don't have to. But if you want to, do it.
Or work at McDonald's
Whatever.
your entire life. Although there's nothing wrong with working at McDonald's because they're
No.
making almost as much money as I am now.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Anyways,
they
enough
are.
of this.
So, well, I don't even know what I was saying.
You dropped out of college and then
Yeah,
you went
Worked for a couple
Yeah.
years.
and you got to do something.
Yeah. So in order to be able to do something, you have to go to college. And I didn't finish college. So I was like, I have to go into the military. Seems like a good way to both do something I love, serve my country, and be qualified for
Yeah.
the job that I want afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
It's as like a replacement for college.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what I was smoking.
How was boot camp?
Boot camp was, I mean, people have a lot of things to say about boot camp. Oh, they deprogram you, they yell at you, they scream at you, they beat you, whatever.
Were they allowed to touch you back then, like hit
No.
you and stuff? Okay.
They weren't allowed. I mean, they did, but they weren't
Oh,
allowed
yeah.
to. But they never. It was never like. It was never like, oh, there's 3 guys around you in a corner and they're just kicking the crap out of you. It's not like it was
In Vietnam.
40, 50 years ago when they were like, we're doing you a favor by beating the crap out of you.
Because the enemy's trying to kill you. We're just
Right.
trying to beat sense in you.
So
This is helping you.
they do it all emotionally, and they like manipulate you emotionally into pushing yourself physically harder.
Interesting.
And that's how they do it now.
Hmm.
So they won't touch you, but they'll stand over you, and looking back at it, I know they have a time frame, and they're allowed to push you for a certain number of minutes every day, doing this thing where they make you do push-ups as fast as you can, and then they make you do sit-ups as fast as you can, and then they're like, do push-ups right now, do sit-ups right now, do whatever, do this, and you're just like going as fast as you can, and they're like watching their watch because they know they're allowed to push you for 10 minutes, and that's it. But it feels like an hour.
Well, of course.
You're up there, and you just lay on the floor in a puddle of sweat, and they made you do it to yourself. They didn't touch you, but they still like wrecked you. And I don't know. I think it's maybe even better than the way that they used to do it, where they would beat you.
Yeah.
Better in the sense that it's more effective.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because you're doing it to yourself. You have you did it.
Yeah, and it's physically improving your body.
Yeah.
But you know, there's
They're the
like
meanest fitness coach ever.
seriously, it's like Jillian Michaels, but she's pissed and on steroids.
On steroids.
And there's 4 of her.
And she just shot a bunch of testosterone.
Yeah, right. No, so
I
there's
don't
this
think you shoot testosterone in your wrist, but I've never
testosterone.
done.
I think it's in your butt. You
Okay,
shoot
I
it
don't
in
know.
your
I've
butt
never
cheeks.
shot anything.
But no, there's this thing where you
Some
can
heroin once.
you go away in your brain.
Yep.
You like put your body on autopilot, and it's like you shut everything out and you don't feel it, but you know your body's going to perform what they're telling you to do. And I think that's what they want you to do anyways. They want you to compartmentalize your brain that's sensitive and your body that can be improved.
Which helps for really difficult situations of killing a human being.
Yeah.
Killing another human being. What I heard, this is like 4th person hearsay, but what I've heard from a military man, I guess, is the first time you take a life, it's really hard. But once you get past that, taking a life doesn't matter as much.
I mean, that's what I've heard as well.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I've never been in that situation. I mean, you're trained to do it over and over. They train you and train you and train you to where you're not going to hesitate when the time comes.
Because, I mean, and the thing is with being in the military, when we are in wartime, there's absolutely zero time for hesitation.
Right.
And not even just in the sense of like killing someone, but let's say, something happens, like a surprise attack kind of scenario. They need you to be able to, I mean, as I understand it, not in the military, so I'm just, speaking.
From video games and
From
movies.
video games, I know. But like you have to be able to respond to a situation without
being
immediately being
shell-shocked.
afraid, and like you have to be able to have that to fall immediately back on your training. That's how I understand it.
At least that's the goal.
Right.
That's the goal.
Ideally.
We're both saying things and seeing if he agrees.
Yeah.
Please agree with me. I think I know stuff.
How many times have you watched Band of Brothers? So you know what you're talking about, right?
Too many times.
I just
I
I've
watch
never
it.
seen it yet.
I watch it every year,
Okay.
all the way through.
Band of Brothers and the Pacific.
Yeah.
And then if you're feeling really frisky, you can watch which movie is it?
Fury or
The other movie Brad
That's a
Pitt's
great
in.
one.
Schindler's List.
No, the other movie.
Inglourious Bastards.
If you're feeling real frisky and you're like, I want to know how
What if
I want to know how World War II actually was. And
what if
definitely
history wasn't how it was?
Yeah.
No, that's not a
Because-
historical movie at all.
because the best there's one thing that I think most people, I would say 99%, probably 99.99% of most people can agree on. Nazis are bad. And so if we make a movie about killing Nazis, it's okay.
killing Nazis.
Yep. Killing Nazis.
Anyways, so they beat the snot out of you mentally.
Yeah, mentally, and they make you do it to yourself physically. But you get to a place where you go away, and you
go to your happy place.
go to your happy place, and then when it's over, you kind of come back, and you are
Your
like,
body
"Oh wow,
hurts.
I'm a different person."
Hmm.
I don't mean when it's over that day. I mean when it's over like 3 months from now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You come back
You
and
go,
you're like,
I'm back from boot camp and I have a 6-pack
I weigh 180 pounds.
of muscle.
Yeah, seriously. I can do pull-ups and jump high and run fast and kill people. Stab you.
Hoorah.
You're a Spartan now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the Master Chief.
Oh, there's I don't know what it is. There's some kind of a connection between people in the Marine Corps and the like Spartan culture
Yeah.
that's been glorified by the 300 movies.
Yeah.
You're talking about Greek Spartans. You're not talking about Halo,
Halo
Spartans.
Yeah, Greek.
Genetically modified.
Cortana
6-year-olds.
is literally in your head if you.
This got really nerdy really fast.
She talks to me in my head.
Ooh.
So no, I don't
Sexy.
know. I don't understand why, but there's there's less of us than in the other branches.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe.
We're more badass than the other branches. Maybe that's what it is.
We
I
as
don't
crayons.
You guys hate the army.
know. We do. We hate them with a passion.
Because was there any war going on?
I mean, we were
I guess, yeah, technically.
Yeah, 2000.
from
Technically.
2001 until sometime late term Obama. We were
At
at
war.
war
Yeah,
in
Iraqi, whatever, freedom,
Yeah,
whatever it
Something
was.
like that.
it was a military police action, but we were at war.
Yeah.
There was no Congress didn't declare war, so we weren't technically like I can't join the VFW
Okay.
because
It's so strange.
I never served overseas during a time of war.
Right.
Interesting.
So, like,
I can join the American Legion.
Okay.
I don't know the difference. That's a military question. What's the difference between a VFW and a.
The VFW is only for veterans of foreign wars.
VFW.
So the last veterans then would be like Korea, maybe?
Yeah,
Was Korea
Something
even
like that.
declared?
I don't even know. I think sometimes they'll accept if you fought in a war zone.
Okay. So they'll kind of like. You can
But
get in there.
I never deployed, so I can't.
Right.
But the American Legion is, I mean, they changed the rules, whatever. I'm going to get nerdy about military stuff,
That's
but
fine.
they changed the rules recently to where it used to be you had to have been a World War II veteran to be in the American Legion. And they changed the rules to say as long as you have served
Okay.
between these
military-
certain years,
oh, okay.
whatever, you can join. Because they were like down to what, like 3 people in one post and 2
Pretty
people
much.
in the other
Right.
post. And they're all 80
Right.
and whatever. They can't get up the steps, so they had to move all their offices to the first floor.
That is actually the sad thing is how much like I mean it's natural when people get old they start to pass away, but the number of World War II veterans we have now is like
I think we're getting down real.
It's like 100 a day that die.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. So it's shrinking. They're all in their 90s now, late 80s up to their like late 90s, hundreds, But yeah, greatest generation,
Greatest generation ever.
That's my nerdy areas, like World War I, World War II, a little bit into like the Vietnam and stuff, but like that whole interesting.
So I guess we can transition from this to, so another very interesting thing about you. Weren't you completely homeschooled your entire life, or did you go to school?
No,
part of your life?
I went to private school, preschool through second grade, so I don't think that actually counts because I don't remember any of that. I have like 2 memories from second grade and earlier, and one of them was from when the principal spanked me. So.
Back when spanking was legal.
Did you become like an awful person because you were spanked?
How did I join the military and became a killer?
Oh, that explains so much. Don't spank your kids.
I was spanked. Mrs. Lou spanked me. No, I went to Living Word, which is a local Christian school, or was a local Christian school, until second grade. And then my mom, who was the music teacher at the school, there was a whole thing. A bunch of people left the school, quit, whatever. And she said, we're going to homeschool now. I'm going to teach you at home. So my brother was completely homeschooled because he hadn't started yet. He was like 3 years younger than me. My sister was completely homeschooled. And I had from 3rd grade all the way through 12.
And so being an adult now, married with a wife, has homeschooling helped or hindered you?
Ask me an easy question.
Ask you an easy question. Did it with jobs? Was it an issue?
Or social settings? Maybe?
With jobs, it was not an issue. Some people I've run into a couple of times where people are like, "Oh, you don't have a high school diploma."
You mean, no, actually,
I do, but they're like, "But it's not. It doesn't have the raised Ohio seal on it, whatever. So it's not an official." I'm like, "Okay, whatever. I don't want your stupid job anyways." But no, most places will accept,
gosh, Wendy's,
a certain number of college credits as the same as a high school diploma. Most places accept military service as the same as a high school diploma because you have to have a high school diploma to be in the military.
Okay.
So, but to get in the military, I had to give them my college transcripts, which was like a year and a half worth of transcripts.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, I don't know how many, 30 some college credits.
So
because I failed some of the classes.
You have a high school diploma if you connect the dots between joining the military, going to the college.
By the transitive property of X equals whatever, I have a high school diploma because all these other places have accepted that I have a high school equivalent, whatever. But so I could see how some homeschoolers in other situations would have issues.
But the thing is,
where there's a high school diploma required to get a job. I don't think
they even asked for my high school diploma.
They might just ask if you have one. Did you graduate high school? I think that's what they asked.
And I just checked the box and went, yeah.
And if they were to ask me, I'd be like, yeah, I was homeschooled. I've got the.
No, you don't say nothing. You just say yes.
Well, if some of the applications that I filled out have a space where it's where did you graduate
Did your
from?
mom? So I was homeschooled.
Yeah. My mom made up a school. Yes.
She made up a school. Yeah.
We did. It's like 2 Pines Hill High School something.
Mine was Fertile Acres Farm.
Mine was New Haven High School.
Nice. Mine was Fertile Acres Educational.
This got really boring.
I think it's funny. If there's other people that aren't homeschooled, this is probably like super informative.
So, were you in a cult?
So Aaron,
like, that sounds like the Fertile Acres Religious Education Facility. Like that sounds like a cult.
Where it's
we were waiting for the 2012 apocalypse, and it was all about eugenics.
So Aaron, what did you do for recess in homeschool?
Went garage selling.
Nothing.
Nothing. I did my school and then I left.
That was economics.
And then I went to my job.
Yep.
At 12 in the shoe factory.
No, but seriously, as soon as I was 15 and a half, I got a job at the local pizza place in the next town over. And my mom would drive me to work for the first 6 months till I got my license.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like I started work at 10 in the morning and I worked from 10 to 2 and that was the lunch hour. Whatever.
And because none of the public schoolers could do that.
Yeah.
they would all come in to get pizza at the pizza place, and I would give them pizza. But I had all my schoolwork done. Went to my job. I got off at 2, and I came home and I would read a book, play video games, play music, play
And you
my
have
car,
money.
whatever. And
You
I
have
had
money at the end of
Oh
it.
yeah, it was
Because technically all or high school is teaching you to do is either college or work, and so you're doing work and high school, so and you're getting babysat at work.
Yeah, your parents don't have to babysit.
They
you
don't
when
have to
you're at work.
babysit.
And when people are like,
Babysitted.
when you get fresh out of high school and people are like, you need 3 years experience for this job, you can be like, 3 years at the pizza shop.
Hell yeah. Even if it's sweeping floors, it counts.
Yeah.
Yep. It's never made sense to me because Silas applied to a job. He was in school and he was getting his associates in college, getting his associates, and he applied for an internship. And he needed a bachelor's degree. He met all of the qualifications.
Sure.
But he needed a bachelor's degree for I think, non-paying or very low-paying internship.
It was a non-paying internship.
In what?
And I looked at
what
him.
sector?
Computer
IT.
programming of
Yeah,
some
computer
kind,
programming.
or IT, yeah.
But he was like, why would what? If I have a bachelor's, I'm going to get a job
Sure.
that can pay me money. I'm not going to work for free, bud.
Sure.
Yeah.
Internships are supposed to be in between semesters. Like you do an internship on your summer break from college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
like
what
a
it's
summer
supposed to be.
job.
It's not after college.
If it's free, it could be like your summer internship where, whatever. And it could be free then, you're saying. But if you have a degree, ideally you're going into a full-time position with a salary and benefits and all that crap.
Well, that's what we were promised, right?
Right.
You get a degree.
exactly.
Spend $80,000 on school. You get a degree. You can get a job.
Other end of that 4 years or whatever, however long, there's a line of people waiting to give you, $100K a year.
Sure.
Supposedly.
But, now looking at it, there's guys out there who are welders and pipe fitters
And plumbers.
who make more money than I do,
Mm-hmm. And it's because I was talking, there's a local company, which is, I don't know, how far away is, I think it's, they're just outside of Bryan, where my cousin's going to be working, and Caleb of Morning Eggnog, he's going to be starting there, and he's already doing HVAC classes and pipe fitting and some electrical 2, 3, whatever. And there are guys working there. They've been working there a long time, but they're getting paid $100,000 a year, and I don't know if they probably don't have college.
Yeah.
Because college, I'm not anti-college. If you want to go into a field like, being a surgeon or...
Please be educated.
Please,
Seriously.
I would much rather have a surgeon that is not YouTube certified.
Also, if you're going to be a surgeon or a doctor of any kind, learn how to use a damn computer.
That too. and learn how to use cursive letters.
Imagine this. 50,
We're saying this
100 years ago, the guy we had on our last episode, Kenny, the barber, he would have been the town surgeon too.
Sure,
he would have like taken your toes
and
off.
the dentist.
And the dentist. Like, oh, you got a toothache?
Oh
Here, let
my
me-
gosh. No, it's listening to stories about olden day doctors is just horrifying. They're like, well, I think dumping acid in your eye will heal your foot surgery.
You need some leeches? You got some bad
What?
blood in there, you
Yeah,
know?
we're going to bleed you. No,
You know how you
Yeah.
have blood loss right now from that gunshot wound? What if we took more blood?
That's what we need to do. No, but
the thing is, maggots are still used today.
yeah, well, to breed wounds.
Yeah. There was somebody who had gangrene. I forget who I was talking to. They had something. Their leg was rotting, and they said, "All right, you have two options. We can either put a bunch of maggots on it, and then you eat away all the dead flesh, and then your leg will heal, or we can amputate your leg."
Yeah, I pick maggots.
Yeah, I guess you'd pick maggots.
I would also pick maggots. I'm like, well, I guess I can have a bunch of weird squirmy things on me.
Yep.
Just have like a blanket to shield. Like you don't want to. I wouldn't want to see that. I'd be retching.
Seriously.
Retching. So, all right. So the next thing that I don't think we're gonna have enough time for, something that it's gonna be interesting. How do you guys feel about the new Star Wars movies? These two are my biggest Star Wars nerd friends.
Yay!
That's a complicated
I
question.
don't think we have. So let's start with the newest. Not the newest. Let's start with the first new one.
Yeah. What if you like try to just like
So
synopsize
we have the original.
each new.
We have the
one.
original 3. Then we have the prequels. We're not going to touch those because those have been out and
We're-
dissected
we're talking,
completely.
We're talking about numbered Star Wars movies.
Yes.
We're not talking about the Star Wars stories.
Well,
Rogue One,
we could touch on
Han
Solo and Rogue One maybe
We could.
briefly. What if we
If
hit?
you want to talk about garbage, we can talk about Han Solo.
No, hold on.
Hold up.
I'm
If you
gonna
wanna talk
fight you.
about
I actually like that
Absolute
movie.
hot garbage, we can talk about Solo.
No, if we
But,
want to talk about hot garbage, we could take The Last Jedi and then just like throw it into a burning trash fire
So
Seriously.
that it already is.
what is this is bad. What's the Oh my
You
gosh.
have The Force Awakens, Rogue
Force
One,
Awakens.
The Last Jedi, Solo, and then upcoming we have The Rise of the Skywalker.
Did you see his
The Rise of
posture
Skywalker.
changed?
Yeah,
I
I got
knew he
excited
would be-
about this.
So this is the Star Wars talk because I know they're both great nerds. I have to go to the bathroom, so talk away. I'll be right
Oh
back.
heck yeah!
He's
So
gonna
the
ask
Force
a question
Awakens.
and then leave.
Start.
Yeah, James is like, I don't care about this crap.
I'm
you two,
scared.
you
I'm
two
so scared.
have a little like World War III, and then
Did you see the trailer, the new trailer for The Force Awakens,
I-
or for The Rise of Skywalker
Yes.
with all of they like backloaded all of the footage from the previous movies?
they did like an anthology
I
kind of
was
thing.
like, I was crying. By the time they got to the footage for the new movie, I
Yeah.
was like super pumped. I want to see this so bad.
They were smart. I'm pretty sure from memory they left out all the Last Jedi footage. No, they had a little bit. They had like Luke kissing Leia's forehead at the end of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
They had some of the more like touching moments, but they avoided all the stuff.
Yeah.
But good on that.
Yeah. So as far as are they good? They're acceptable.
Yeah.
Do they live up to the hype that I have in my brain and my heart from the original Star Wars movies? No. And that's the way I felt about the prequel trilogy when it came out.
Right.
I thought this is garbage.
Right.
Well, what pod racing?
Now this is pod
What
racing.
the heck is pod racing? Why is that in Star Wars?
So that brings up an interesting point then. Do you feel like there's at least a certain amount of the movies that, or like the flack that the movies take, that is solely based not on the quality of the actual movie, but on the idealized version, like that we've forgotten that Star Wars is kind of bad to begin with?
I absolutely believe that. I
Yeah.
believe that there's a certain amount of it that's from a vocal segment of fanboys and girls. Girls
Yep.
love Star Wars too. And they are pissed because it doesn't live up to what they want it to be.
Yep.
And there was this whole expanded universe that forged forward the stories and put backstory to everything.
It already had filled that gap that the movies were then going to try and fill anyways.
Right. And Disney said, none of that matters. We're replacing everything. And that automatically pissed people off before they even saw a trailer for the first of the new Star Wars movies.
And that
they were
makes-
pissed.
Because didn't the Clone Wars follow the books?
No,
Well,
actually,
didn't-
the Clone Wars,
kind of slipped into its own gap in
Yeah.
the canon.
but it did. There was a series that you and I actually read. I read maybe
Yeah.
more religiously than you, but the Republic Commando series,
Right.
Yeah.
fantastic series. But they actually partially retconned that in the Clone Wars because in that show, nerd moment, Mandalore in the books
The whole
was
thing is a nerd moment, dude.
Mandalore the planet was like a warring planet. They were like the Spartans kind of.
Yeah.
And then in the cartoon, they made it into a pacifist, like diplomatic planet that had a faction that was evil that wanted to bring back the noble warrior tribe that the book. So yeah, it destroyed the lore that the book had created and made the planet into like this peace-loving, like, we don't want the war here, instead of what the book had created, which was like these, again, Spartan-esque, they're tribal people that were very proud and very, warrior,
And the only reason they did it was so that Obi-Wan Kenobi could have a love interest.
which they could have made another planet and just done that somewhere else. But no, they had to use Mandalore.
Seriously.
I'm not mad. I'm only mad because I love the Republic Commando games, and you were to thank for bringing me into that game and then the books.
I didn't know I brought you into the game.
Oh yeah, hardcore. Because you're like
Did you ever play the Republic Commando game?
Oh, yeah.
On the original is it original Xbox?
Xbox and PC. Yeah.
It was way ahead of its time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. It was
But
very.
if we played it now, we'd be like, this is hot garbage.
We still played it now because
I actually still play it now, and
yeah?
I think it
They
holds
off-
up really well.
Oh, yeah?
they
Surprisingly.
offered a free with Xbox Live Gold. They offered a free with games with gold. That's
yeah,
what it's
Games
called.
with Gold.
And so they had Republic Commando, and it's still
And then they had Battlefront
it
2.
holds up surprisingly well.
Nice.
I was very surprised.
And they've converted it because the controller really hasn't changed all that much. Control wise, it holds up like dynamically where it's not confusing to be like, well, they assigned this button over here. You know, it's pretty much the
Right.
same setup.
It's not like when you try and play an N64 game on your Xbox.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, well, it's not the same as
Why
my
is up,
64
right bumper?
controller.
Playing a GameCube game on the Wii.
Right.
That's what I used to do as a kid.
Or using an emulator and using an N64 and NES controller to play a PS1
to
game.
play Halo or
Right.
something.
Oh my gosh, the joystick on the N64 controller was garbage.
Wait, was that
The
was
N64
that the one where it had a middle
It's
thumbstick?
a middle
N64
joystick and it's so loose.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on?
The
with this,
N64 like,
man? Yeah.
let's make a controller, boys.
And what if we put like 3 prongs? I know you don't have 3 hands, but what if we had 3 prongs to hold on to?
It's like, let's mash it all together, and that's what they came up with.
All right, so you know how.
So back to Star Wars.
Yeah. Back to Star Wars, the important stuff here.
Did
everyone.
any of the games match the canon?
The Star Wars games?
Yeah. Did they
I
make
feel
any
like
canon?
Knights of the Old Republic probably had some canon
Yeah.
in it that matched like because it's way, way, way back and it didn't step on any of the movies.
It kind of like was like, oh, and here's like that, you know, that background character, like it'll like just tie in a little piece of
Yeah.
lore, but it wasn't.
so it didn't really
expansive.
step
Yeah.
on any major canon at all.
Here's
Okay.
Darth Vader's great granddad, you know?
Right. And it was like there's 1,000 Sith fighting against 1,000 Jedi. It's way, way, way back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and there was The Force Unleashed. It wasn't like a canon game, but the way they built the game, there was like a dark side and a light side ending. If you ended on the light side ending, it fit within canon, even though it wasn't canon.
Right.
So it was kind of like, this is how it could have gone, and it didn't, and it flowed really smoothly with the movie and everything.
Right. It didn't contradict anything.
Right. And then the dark side ending was like, the movies were great and all, but what if everyone died?
yeah. Alternate history.
Yeah, which actually was a cool feature, I thought. And then the second
A
game,
lot of games with dark and light endings are fun. 'Cause
yeah,
unless you're playing Fallout 4 and then everything's just, no matter what you do.
I
I
never.
never got to the end. I just gave up after hundreds of hours.
Fallout 4 was a game I put
Beautiful
hundreds of
game.
hours in and then watched several YouTube videos and talked to Sam about it and realized it was not as good of a game as I wanted it to be.
Seriously.
It is
It's
an
so
idealized
great.
experience.
Yeah.
It's really great, but you actually don't have as many options as you thought you did. And
Yes,
they now we're getting in a Fallout conversation, which
They-
we really don't have time for.
They fool you with allowing you to build your own camp. And they're like,
Yeah.
look at all this stuff you can do. It's
Right.
like, I don't need any of that crap.
You remember how like Fallout New Vegas had like a million different endings that you could have?
Seriously.
What if you had like 2?
And you know how in Fallout 3, because I haven't played New Vegas, you could be bad or good, and it changed the way people interacted with you and the way you could and changed different things and different paths you could go on. Yeah, we just got rid of that.
Yeah.
Fallout New Vegas
Oh, you know how
took that
guns
times
don't work?
like you could be good, bad, neutral.
Right.
The
Bad,
ending
neutral, chaotic,
Right.
good.
You actually could. Like the ending, you had faction endings, which you may have had in Fallout 3.
So we split from one nerd conversation, and then I made
Yeah.
it worse by
No,
adding
you're fine.
another layer of nerd conversation, and he only has 20 minutes.
We can roll this
Seriously.
back though. The Force Awakens trailer reaction when you first saw it on Thanksgiving Day.
I peed myself a little.
Same.
I went, oh, it's Star Wars.
I have to go see this opening night. I bought tickets as soon as it came out, and we went to go see it opening night. My
Same.
wife went to go see it with me.
When
How many trailers came out? Just one or
I think they did like
I think they did a teaser and then a full trailer.
now?
Yeah.
Okay, are you guys people that watch trailers or not?
Yeah.
I do not watch trailers. If it's a movie, I know like Deadpool, I saw it was coming out, and then guarded myself off against trailers because 2019 trailers are absolutely stupid.
They give away everything.
They're like, hey, so here's the movie,
Or they don't.
or they don't.
Which I feel
Not
like
very often.
I feel like Rise of Skywalker is pretty elusive, and I feel like Star Wars trailers in general have been for these new movies. They've been pretty elusive.
I think Star Wars trailers are pretty good. Another YouTube video I watched is they were talking about different trailers and how the Star Wars trailers are actually really well put together, and they don't show too much, but they show enough to give you an interest.
Right.
Marvel movies are like, here's the plot, here's the end. You want to come see our movie? You'll see it anyways.
Yeah.
We know you will.
And then nothing in the trailer is in the movie.
Right.
I read an article the other day that was like, Marvel execs admit that they mislead people with their trailers. I'm like, HuffPo, this is not news.
Yeah.
We've known this for years.
You can watch
Get
the movie
with the program Huffington.
and you'll see a scene, and this happened with Rogue One, especially in terms of Star Wars. You'll see a scene that's in the trailer, and then you'll see the beginning of that scene occur in the movie, and you think you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it almost happens that way, but then it doesn't because they CGI'd a character out, or they changed an outfit with CGI.
Or they put two scenes together and you thought it was the same scene.
Right.
Or like,
Anyway, so sorry. Going back,
in
you
the
bought tickets.
yeah, I bought tickets to go see it opening night. I almost took my lightsaber, but the movie theater we were going to put out like on social media, all their stuff. They were like, do not bring lightsabers to our theater because we will throw you out.
Fair enough.
It's a weapon. And I was like,
Fine, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, no, I have a lightsaber.
Is it like it's a real one? Like
Like
you
one of
went,
the effects
you're a
ones?
real
Yeah, it's
Jedi,
not
and you
gonna
went
cut
and found
your
the
arm
crystals.
off.
You went and found the crystals and made.
No, yeah, it's full size.
I'm
It's
just being a jerk over here.
it's got like the LED lights that like.
Dude,
Is it a saber forge?
Is it metal?
No, it's the mid range, like the VFX.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like the $100 whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have
Okay.
you on for a completely nerdy podcast because
So-
you and Sam.
Embarrassing story really quick for opening night of Star Wars.
Right.
I went and saw it, and I was thinking like, preface, I've never seen a Star Wars in theaters up until this one.
Sure.
Yeah, 'cause
I was
you're a baby.
too I was too
You're
young for all the other ones.
Your
you know.
1997 model.
I almost saw the Attack of the Clones, and then my parents were like, "Oh, Revenge of the Sith is rated PG-13. You're not going to go see that."
I remember
Homeschooler
that.
alert.
Yeah, that sucked.
I remember that because I don't think I was allowed to watch
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith
Because
because Sam couldn't see it.
That's awesome. So,
Parents
anyways,
are great.
opening night and the Star Wars, like the opening title crawl,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm like, I've never done this before in a theater. I am gonna take a picture of that opening crawl because that is just like dream moment. I had my flash on. And so I went click, and the flash goes, "Bruh," and I go, like I just bury the phone in my lap, and I just sit there, and I
You're like the blanket of shame
It wasn't
just
me, it wasn't
drapes
me, it wasn't
itself
me.
over you, and you go, "Wow, I'm an idiot."
I think what I actually did was when I put it in my lap, and in case anyone looked back to see who it was, I went,
Oh my gosh!
Who did that?
Who did that?
Who the frick is stupid enough to turn their flash on?
What idiot did that?
Anyways, so yeah, opening night, Star Wars: The Force Awakens. What did you think of the movie, the first Disney Star Wars movie?
I was like, well, I was confused because it's all of the numbered Star Wars movies are supposed to be about Skywalker, the Skywalker family.
Right.
They're about Anakin / Vader, Luke. Where's the Skywalker?
And you thought, oh, well,
I was like,
this means
Yeah, it must mean that Rey is the Skywalker, right? She must be Luke's daughter,
Right, because you've got
And that
Han's son,
right?
that was
where-
my speculation.
who's your
too.
Skywalker.
Where's your Sky? And I know from the books that eventually Luke has children, and
Right.
Han and Leia have 3 kids, and
And I would have loved it if there was a Mara Jade in this series,
Seriously.
you know? Mara
Jade-
Jade is
she's a
Luke's.
redhead.
Yeah. She's Luke's, like she was like a bounty hunter set to kill Luke, and then they fall in love. They have a passionate love story.
they like retire to a planet for a couple years. Like,
Yeah. And then they start the new Jedi Order, and it's wild. Pretty wild.
That sounds way cooler than
What
than
we
the
got.
Movie.
Yeah.
That sounds way cooler.
Seriously.
Even if they had partially adapted that story, because they could be like, okay, this isn't canon, but we respect that it came before us, or these are the books, but then like what they kind of did were they made the books legends.
Now, did a bunch of people get together and make? Yeah, you got to go soon. Did a bunch of people get together after the movies came out and were like, hey, can we make movies? Can we make books that, like, who determines canon?
Disney.
They have a whole division.
Before Disney
bought
Lucas.
LucasArts has, before Disney bought Lucas, George Lucas determined canon.
Which was nice.
Some of it was he hired people to write stories and gave them an outline.
Okay, see, that's what I was going for.
This is a skeleton of the story I want you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Consult with me about the details so that there's continuity. Some of them were like, what's his name? James Luciano.
Yeah.
Like people who had big fan bases in the fantasy community anyways. They'd written a bunch of
And then he would hire them?
fantasy stories. They would come to him and say, can I write a Star Wars story?
Interesting.
What are my options? What are the idea? They would come to him with an idea and he would say, okay, let's fit this in this time frame.
That's what
Here's
Karen
some
Travis
stuff.
did with the Clone Commando books, the Republic Commando books.
So then they went back and they said, all of this is its own thing called Legends, and it's no longer canon. And so some of those stories got rewritten, like the Thrawn trilogy got rewritten, and it's still pretty good.
Yeah, now it's canon, and the other one is like they made up something where like the Star Wars Legends is now stories that you could imagine being told in the Star Wars universe.
Right.
Doesn't really fit, but hey, some of them do, but not really.
Okay. We only have really like 10 minutes left.
Okay.
So if we can get more into this on another podcast, if you guys want a nerd Star Wars podcast, let us know somewhere. If not, we still might do one. We still might get Aaron back if he's
You're gonna
so
like
willing.
it. We're gonna do it, and you're gonna like it.
Exactly.
You see how like poised we are? We are ready to pounce on this new episode, guys.
We'll get him back sometime, and Sam and him can duke it out, and I'll just sit here and listen.
I'll show up on time.
I don't really think we're of opposite mindsets though.
No, I'm intrigued, and
Yeah.
I'm also I've been watching videos. What is it called? There's a channel online which is super passionate about Star Wars, and they're really upset that it's dying. They did a whole video on the new Disney park.
The way it's failing.
Because it's failing because they pegged it all in the new universe.
Right.
And not in between. They should have done something with a little of the new, a little of the old, because they're not getting the older people the 40 or 50 year olds.
The people who have money.
The people that have
money,
nostalgia for the old
but
series.
nobody with money cares about the new Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, well, it has kind of the characters I like.
Just like the prequel trilogy is now mostly loved by people our age,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
but not people my father's age.
Yep.
People our age probably will not love like passionately the new Star Wars movies.
And it's mostly
kids,
nostalgia.
Kids who are 12 to 16 right now will probably love it. And
So
10
the
years
park
down
is
the road,
early is essentially
10
what
years
you're
down the
saying.
road,
Yeah.
people will have money and they'll want to go to the park.
Yeah.
So if they'd done a New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, whatever park,
It would
and
have
then,
been
I would have gone already.
yeah, and expanded it as it grew.
someone
and
who's
made
willing
money.
to spend $1,000
Yeah,
doesn't have $1,000.
right.
I
So
have credit cards though.
I think
16-year-olds have. I guess some of them do.
I think the thing why we're on the same page for the most part, even though we're like different generations in terms of
Slightly.
that, is my
You're a millennial.
brothers were the ones who brought me into Star Wars, and
Sure.
my brothers were more your age, closer to your age.
I grew up
and-
with Russ.
Yeah, exactly. And he and Jacob read like Shadows of the Empire, and you know the toys that I grew up with and I ended up playing with were a lot of theirs, which were Shadows of the Empire and like the older Lego sets that were Star Wars. And so when I watched Star Wars and read Star Wars, it was all through that like nostalgia
the
of,
older ones, yeah.
of hanging out with my bros, playing Star Wars, talking Star Wars. And so I almost had that experience of being a part of the original trilogy and like growing up with it,
Sure.
even though I didn't.
Yeah.
So then I grew up with the prequels and they were my movies. And now it's like, well, these aren't the same.
We can get on more tangents later.
We will.
So we're going to probably do another Star Wars podcast sometime with Aaron here.
Hopefully, yeah.
But he's got to go to work because he works third shift. So Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, I got to go because none of us make money doing podcasts. So
No, none of us do
Ah,
yet.
dang it.
We're working on it. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining us and watching or listening to this podcast. You can check us out on Facebook or Instagram with updates to what's going on. I don't post as much as I should, but we're there. You can message us if you have a question, a topic, or if you want to be on the podcast. You can message us on Facebook, Instagram, or email us at thispodcastislava@gmail.com. You can listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube, and PodBean if you want to download another app that you don't really need. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful morning, noon, or night.
can I plug something really quick?
Plug it. Do it.
So the podcast that I used to be on,
Yes.
there is one episode that if you do not care about the books that it's about, you should go listen to anyways. It's an off-topic episode. We interviewed the people who do the audiobooks for this series, and they've both done hundreds of audiobooks.
That's awesome.
Otherwise, and they're stage actors also.
Which episode is it? Do you know?
I don't know the number. It's called The Voices of the Wheel of Time.
Okay.
If you search for the Black Tower podcast, it's earlier. I had the date written down,
Okay.
but I forgot to bring my notes.
No problem.
Oh no.
But it's The Voices of the Wheel of Time. If you search for Michael Kramer or Kate Redding, the names of the voice actors, and it's a fantastic episode. We don't even go into
The book.
the books, but
You
we
just
talk
go into
about
voice acting.
voice acting.
That's awesome.
There's a whole 20-minute section about people who listen at 1 time speed and people who listen at 1.5 or
Yep,
2 times speed.
Gotta listen to that. That sounds awesome.
It's a great episode, and they're great voice actors and they're great people, and it's a great example of people who have worked really hard to do exactly what they love, and they make a good living doing it.
So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Please sponsor us.
Yeah, I don't know, just whoever you are, give us money.
Or money, just money.
Just money for no reason.
We don't have a Patreon yet. One thing that